Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the cupcake on one loom. I was pretty excited when I figured it out on the two looms, and I'm even more excited that I've got it on the one loom now. It's not too bad. It's a little bit easier actually than the cinnamon roll that I figured out how to do on one loom, just because of the banding and putting it onto the loom, but they're both definitely doable. We'll show you how to do these. And then of course people kept saying my cupcake looked like a mushroom, so I put together a little toad, which of course is awesome, so that was my little fun. But yes, it looks like a mushroom too, but I'm calling it a cupcake still because I think that works just as well. So we'll get started, and first you're going to want to get a few. If you want any of the sprinkles on there, you're going to want to get those ready ahead of time. I have like 7 or 8 on each cupcake. It's kind of really up to you how many you want on, or if any at all. But all I did was, well, for these ones, these are just looped bands. This one I used some beads. These are 5mm pony beads, or 7mm pony beads, sorry. And I'll show you. I know I've seen a couple people use seed beads as well, but I'll kind of show you the difference in size so you can kind of gauge. But this is the regular pony bead that most people see, the 9mm, and then here's a 7, and this is a 5, and then this is a size 11 E bead or seed bead. So kind of probably on this edge would be more, because otherwise I think these will be too big for the cupcake. I'll just kind of show you that so you know what I'm talking about. But then I also, the other day, I found these adorable buttons that I'm going to use on mine. There's little tiny round dot buttons, which I think are adorable, so I actually used them in my unicorn poop cookies, which are awesome. So they're, gosh, unicorn poop cookie, that's what I'm talking about there. So all I did was I pulled a band through the button, and these are what I'm going to use today. But if you don't have any buttons or beads to use, you just want to take the color that you're going to use, which is not that color, for the filling, which on mine right here, this one's purple. Take that color and the color you want for your sprinkle. The bubble bands look pretty cute for this. Wrap it around your hook once, and then grab everything and then wrap it around a second time. So you kind of have a little knot. And then just pull the color that you're going to make the inside of your cupcake through that. And just make a few of them ahead of time. It's a little easier just so you're not stopping and starting. But make a few of those and set them aside. You can pause the video if you need to make those. Once you have that, then we'll get on to the looming part. And first we're going to make the kind of the center of the cupcake first. The bands we'll lay first are going to be double banded, and we're going to just kind of, you can put it anywhere on your loom, it doesn't take up too much space, it's just kind of a little weird 6 sign. Just start on the far right and come down towards the center. It's 2 bands. This is the color, the pink on this one, so you kind of know where you're at. And then 2 more bands, go all the way to the left, and then down. And then we're just going to curve around. And then 1 more. Just like that to start with. And then next, whatever color you want for your filling, we're going to start by putting a band straight up right here. And then if you want, start adding in some of your sprinkle bands. If you have a directional bead, it's easier if it points down because the top of the cupcake is actually underneath. So, I mean, I know I could rotate the buttons once it's off the loom, but it's just easier if I just point them down to begin with. Like that. So across there, and now in here we're just going to fill it up like a starburst. Do another sprinkle. So like that. So once we have this, we need to put an end cap in the center of the kind of starburst here. 4 times around, you want it pretty tight. And then you also want an end cap right here where the swirl ends. Like that. So once you have those on, we can loom this part out. So turn your loom around. And we'll first go in through the center end cap right here. Grab whatever band is on top and pull it back towards itself. And then just keep doing that through the center. And you'll notice that my sprinkles are underneath. I'm not going to pull them up through the cap or anything like that. They're going to stay on that side of the looped band. So like that. And then next we'll go over to this other end cap over here. And you're going to be going through these 2 bands as well. So the end cap and the 2 bands. Grab that top band, which is my sprinkle band here, and pull that back towards itself. Then go back in and pull the other band back towards itself. So we have all that centered on. So now we'll loom up the swirl. Go in through the end cap again. Grab your swirl bands and just loom them around. It's hard to loom backwards. So like that. So now once you have this, we're actually going to take this off the loom because we still need it for the other part of this. So this is the only open point right here. You can put your hook through there that you're using because we're not going to use it again until we put this back on. And take this part off. So you just kind of want to pull it out a little bit. But that is the center of my cupcake. Like that. So you put this aside for now. Turn your loom back around. And what we're going to do is lay 11 bands, so almost all the way to the end except for this last space here. And this is going to be double banded. It'll be the swirly color, my blue. And you're going to lay those all the way up the loom. That. So once you have that, now we need to lay, basically what we're doing is this whole swirl that goes around the outside of the cupcake, instead of having it be, I guess, wrapped around the middle right now, we're going to spread it out long and then rotate the middle along it to get the swirl. So first, this is a difference than in the other one loom for the cinnamon roll. Our first band is actually going to be still 2 double bands, and it's just going to go right here, like that. So 2 double bands, the color of your swirls, be the first band. Now the next bands will be the inside color, and then don't forget your sprinkles if you want more of those. So the next band is going to go, I'm going to actually turn my loom here because I think it helps a little bit, because it's kind of goofy band or laying of the bands, but this next pin is going to go from here to the first pin and to the second pin, like that. And again, if you're putting on sprinkles and they're directional, you point them down. So first band, second band right there. Now we'll go up to the third pin, and we need to go from here out to these 3 pins. So one right there, right here, and right here. Our next bands, we're going to skip a pin, and then from this pin we're going to go to these 3 pins. So 1, 2, and 3, like that. Then again, we're going to skip a pin, and on the next one we're going to do the same thing from here out to the 3 pins. Like that. Then again, we'll skip a pin, and then we'll come to the next one and go down to the 3. Like that. And then lastly, we're just going to go to the next pin, and we're going to go to these 2 pins right here. There's 1 and 2. So now you just want to make sure that you have this pattern. I know it's a little kind of goofy, but it's the way that I'm doing the exact banding of the original 2 looms, so this works pretty well. So like that, make sure that this is the pattern you have. I'll kind of move it up here a little bit, so if you pause it, then that little button shouldn't be in the way. So you can see what it looks like. Once you have this, you turn your loom around. You'll take the part that we took off before, and everything that's on your hook needs to go onto this first pin where the band is. And it is a little harder because it is double banded, so you got to kind of pull a little bit harder and stretch. Just get it all on there. Like that. So it kind of bunches up, but I'll come in here a little bit so you can see. But you can see here we have a center end cap that was in the very center of our part we took off, and then we also have the offset end cap. This offset end cap we need to get onto this pin up here. So you kind of turn your loom which way is comfortable. I kind of turn it this way so I can rest my other arm on it to kind of hold on to it while I'm pulling. Make sure that this doesn't come off. so push it down if you need to. This is the worst part of the stretching, just because it's kind of in such a small area. But you want to go through the end cap, and then there's also the starburst bands right here that we need to go through too. So let's make sure you get through all the bands. You can kind of pull it out and see that you've got them. And once you do that, when you get them on your hook, you just got to stretch it down and get it over that next pin. So this is the worst stretch, so once you get that, it's a lot easier. So get that on there, and what you'll do is you go through this end cap and you'll loom out these next two bands. Like that. Then come back to the beginning and you'll loom up one of the swirl bands like that, and then put your thumb or finger or something over this pin, and you're going to release this back one. Just slide it off. So it reduces a lot of the tension as we go around. Now next, it should be fairly easy to see them, but I have these are the mango bands, but my bands, my filler bands, you should have two of them in between your swirl bands. I can grab the other one. Sometimes they like to hide. So something has to be difficult. There we go. So they're the next ones over in this kind of little circle piece. Grab those and wrap them around the next pin that has bands on it. Then we're going to loom out these three bands through this band we just put on the pin. So pull that over. Like that. And once you have that, you can loom up two of the swirl bands. And then put your thumb over right here, the last place we loomed to, and you can release these last two rows. And back here, the end cap is tight, so. And then there's kind of, you see this kind of big section that's open. I usually slide that right over the next empty pin, because it works and gives it kind of something to hang on to, or so it's not flopping around. Just like that. So then you'll grab the next section. It's two bands, and you'll pull that up over the next pin. Then do the same thing. Loom out the three bands that are in there. Like that. And then come back and loom up two of the swirl bands. We can't do the third because this one hasn't been looped over yet, so it wouldn't be caught. That's what I'm only doing two. So again, cover, make sure so it doesn't pop off, then come back and release the bands. And again, kind of have that nice big section that you can fit over the pin. And then grab the next two bands over, pull them up over the next pin, loom out the three bands, like that, then come back here, loom up two swirl bands, finger over, remove, slide it over, then again there'll be two bands here, put that over the next pin, loom out the three bands, And we're just about done, so good news. So once you have that, loom up 2 of the swirl bands. Cover and remove. Now there isn't anywhere for us to slide to because of where the pins are. So this next one, there's actually 4 bands in there because we're finally coming around to right in this area. Oops. Right in this area here where we had some more looping from the center. So there will be 4 bands in here that you need to grab. So if you've got all 4, put those over the next pin, like so. Loom out the 2 bands that are in here. Like that. Loom up 1 of the swirl bands. So we're kind of coming up here to the end. And now I'm going to just pull off this pin. And I have a message again. It's been happening a lot lately. Sorry about that. This next one, we actually need to pull through an entire section. So, instead of just the filler bands, so what we're going to do is this next section over, instead of just grabbing my orange or mango bands there, you need to go through the entire thing. So you should have 6 bands on your hook. That whole thing needs to go over this last pin. Like that. And then our last loop, instead of we're going to loop over this way. So go in there, grab your band, loop them, and come here and grab the last swirly band in the row, like that. So now we are done with the top, and we can remove this. If you want to, or I guess I would recommend it, just grabbing a band. We're going to remove it later, but just pulling a band up through here and doing a slip knot to secure this. Make sure it's tight. And then you can remove this from the loom. So there's the top of my cupcake. Looks pretty good, I think. I can stretch it out a little bit because we're going to stretch it out here in a minute. So now we need to make the bottom of it. And when we did the cinnamon roll, if you did that, we have to actually get the entire whole section over a pin, which is hard. But luckily, with the cinnamon roll, we only need inside sections. And what I mean by that is, over here is usually the best to show, but you kind of had the teardrop loop right here. We just need this part on the inside over the loop. So it's 2 bands. The inside part is the only part that goes over the pin. So that's much easier. It's just keeping track because it is kind of, it wants to bend in because it's kind of 3D now. So first, we're going to be working on this section, which is kind of two spots here, and then 5 up the side, and then 2 spots up here. It's not too hard, it's just that kind of keeping track of what's where. Now this section right here, the whole thing has to go over the pin because there's no way to get around that. So we'll start there first, or I'm going to, I'm going to stick my hook back up through where the slip knot is. And you can remove the slip knot or you can just leave it on there. It's really up to you. But once you get through everything, I just kind of make sure this whole thing, cupcake top, points down. This whole spot needs to go on the loom. And I kind of put my hook in the wrong way, but we'll make it work. Now make sure this stays covered, but stretch the center of the swirl up over the third pin. It's going to be tight because you do have double bands. But once you get that, it should be easier. Just kind of poke whatever you need to down to get it up there. So now we can kind of see where we're at. I'll bring it in here a little better. Too close, sorry. So I have everything that was open back on a pin. I pulled up the middle of the middle starburst to the third pin up. So now we just need to go around and grab the inside loop and pull it over a pin in order. So there's one, there's the next one, there's another one, next one. Now this one technically needs to go way up here. So you can stretch it there or just come back to the other side and start stretching up this way, and then it kind of pulls the rest of the design up so it doesn't have quite the stretch that it does up here. The next band is kind of a weird one. Hopefully you can see here. Oops. You have the swirl that comes around and then it meets up with the outside edge of the cupcake. So there's a band right here. And that's what you want over this pin. And again, the next one's pretty easy to see. And just keep going. Keep grabbing that next stitch. And the last one's a little, just pull it right up there. So you should have 12 pins with bands looped over them. You can kind of turn it over to the side and you can see that you have a loop underneath. That's the edge of the cupcake on the top side, which is right here. So once you have that, now it's much easier. But now you want the color that will be the side of your cupcake. And you're going to just lay a row of bands all the way around. If you want to, you can stretch this one all the way up here or just leave it here. It doesn't matter really at the end for this shape. I've done it both ways. So just start somewhere and start laying bands all the way around. So if you went in like me right here, you'll just come in and then go back out and come down. Like so. So once you have that, all we're going to do is grab the two bands that are underneath that are part of the cupcake top and flip them over those 2 bands up here from the side, and do that all the way around. Now when you get to the end here, you have all these and they all have to go over. There isn't just really a great way to avoid that. It doesn't look too bad on the cupcake when it's done, so all the bands that are under there need to go over, except for the side of your cupcake bands. So keep going around. Like that. So then you should just have the sides on there. And push that down. And you notice I turn my loom around, but it's still the same process. Just start somewhere and lay bands all the way around your circle. Or technically it's a circle, but it will be when it's done. So like that. So then once you have this laid, you'll go under and flip over the bottom 2 bands all the way around. Like that. And we need 2 more rows, and I will do those, but I will probably fast forward through them, and then I'll show you how to close the bottom. So all the way around again, 2 more times. Alright, so I have all of the rows done. So now what we'll do is we need to close it off. We want a nice kind of round bottom. I'm gonna come up a little bit. So what you're going to do is just pick a spot, stick your hook in through the bands that are on that pin, bring them up, and stick your hook in through the next bands that are over, bring those up, then pull the first set of bands on your hook through the second set, just kind of like that, loop it over. Now take your hook, stick it in through the next bands, and do the same thing, pull this set through this set over here, and you're going to keep doing that all the way around. Turn your loom if you need to. All the way around. And there's my last one. So I'm going to pull it through, pull this off carefully, maybe. And now what we want to do, so you're going to look at your kind of stitches here. You have the one on your hook, and then it kind of looks like there's a U shape here with the band. But right kind of underneath of that is this stitch right here. What you're going to do is take another band, just one, after you've got it under that stitch, and pull it through everything on your hook. Put that band on, make a slip knot. So now, I'm going to spread your cupcake out, push up through the bottom to give it the peak it needs to be a cupcake. That is the cupcake. Very nice. And then with the tail right here, I just kind of hold it off to the side. If I stick my hook kind of down through under one of the bands on the inside, snag the tail, and pull it up, then it just kind of flies in the bottom and you can't notice it anymore. You don't have to even weave it in beyond that. But there we have a nice 3D cupcake on one loom using the same banding as the other 2 loom version. I think band choice looks, oh, maybe they're right. Looks a little smaller, but so I hope this worked for you. I hope you could follow it. Only a couple of parts in there I think are a little confusing, but I tried to go as slow as I could through them. If you have any questions, of course, you can always ask me because I'm pretty available to answer everything. But as always, I want to thank you for watching, and definitely doing stuff like this on one loom. It's because I appreciate everyone who watches my tutorials, and I want to make everything available to those who only have one loom, because that's important to me. But if you make a lovely cupcake, I would love to see it, because the colors really are what makes the cupcake, obviously, because you can do something like this and then it's not a cupcake because of the coloring. If you want to, I would love to see them on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, either one. And of course, if you would subscribe, that would be amazing, because then you'll be one of the first people to know when there's more designs coming out, and I'm always trying to put something else out. So, thank you for watching, and I'll have more tutorials for you soon.